Hey, uh, I'm... I. What is a mystery? Is it simply a question without an answer? A blank space on the map of our knowledge? Or is it a door? A doorway to a past we thought we understood, a past we've neatly catalogued and filed away. A past that, when we look closer, seems to ripple and shift, revealing depths we never suspected and complexities that defy our modern assumptions. Our history is a story we tell ourselves, a grand, sweeping epic, but it's a narrative built from fragments. A piece of pottery here, a crumbling wall there. Each one a word and a sentence we are constantly trying to translate. But what happens when we find a fragment that doesn't fit? A word that seems to come from a completely different language? An object so advanced, a structure so vast, a text so alien that it forces us to question the entire story. It suggests a paragraph, maybe a whole chapter, has been torn out. These are not just puzzles, they are anomalies, glitches in the timeline of human progress. They are the ghosts in the machine of history. These discoveries are scattered across the globe, separated by oceans and millennia. They are silent monoliths and intricate artifacts that whisper of forgotten knowledge and capabilities that, according to our neat and tidy historical timelines, simply shouldn't exist. They challenge our assumptions about our ancestors, about the very trajectory of what it means to be human. They suggest our ancestors were not as primitive as we might imagine. Perhaps they were more like us than we care to admit. Were they smarter? Did they have help? Or perhaps, is our modern understanding of physics, engineering, and the very flow of time itself fundamentally incomplete? These aren't just old rocks and rusty metal, they are profound intellectual challenges that have stumped the greatest minds for decades, even centuries. They are the stubborn facts that refuse to fit the prevailing theories. Today, we are going on a journey not just across continents, from the hills of Turkey to the depths of the Mediterranean Sea, but through time, to the very edge of our understanding. We will confront 15 of the most profound, most baffling, unsolved discoveries from the ancient world. We will look at the evidence, the hard data that science has managed to collect. We will weigh the theories, from the mainstream to the fringe, and we will stare directly into the abyss of the unknown. Because sometimes, the most exciting thing isn't finding the answer, but realizing just how deep the question goes. So, where do we begin? As always, it starts with a question. Or, in this case, a temple older than anything you can imagine. Let's travel back in time, way back, before the pyramids of Giza were even conceived, 6,000 years before Stonehenge, even before the invention of pottery, even before the invention of writing. We are in an era so deep in the past, we have no records, only what we can dig from the earth. We arrive in what is now southeastern Turkey, 12,000 years ago. Here, something impossible stands. Göbekli Tepe. This isn't a simple settlement. There are no signs of permanent habitation, no cooking hearths, no houses. It's a monumental complex of massive T-shaped stone pillars, some weighing up to 20 tons, carved from a nearby quarry using nothing but stone tools. They are arranged in intricate circles, at least 20 of them that we know of. These pillars are not blank slates. They are a prehistoric art gallery. They are covered in elaborate carvings of animals, foxes, lions, scorpions, vultures, all rendered with a stylistic flair that is both artistic and deeply symbolic. Who built this? And more importantly, how? And why? The prevailing wisdom for decades said monumental architecture came from settled agricultural societies. The assumption, you need surplus food and social hierarchy to mobilize labor for such massive projects. First comes the farm, then comes the temple. Yet, the builders were, as far as evidence shows, hunter-gatherers, nomadic, living in a pre-agricultural world. They had no beasts of burden, no wheel, no metal tools. The very existence of this site flips the script. It turns our understanding of the Neolithic revolution on its head. Maybe building this shared sacred space, this cathedral on a hill, is what sparked settlement and agriculture. The desire for community and belief may have driven innovation, not the other way around. The need to feed the builders and pilgrims may have been the catalyst for farming. So, what was it for? A celestial observatory. Some pillars seem to align with astronomical events. The world's first temple, a place of ritual and worship. A pilgrimage site for scattered clans to gather, trade, and form alliances. Some theories point to the carvings, funerary rituals, perhaps excarnation by vultures, where bodies were left for birds to consume. A sky burial. But we truly don't know. And here's the strangest part. After centuries of use, the site was deliberately and carefully buried, filled in with dirt, stone, and animal bones. Why? The site is vast, less than 5% excavated. The biggest revelations may still be buried beneath the earth, a time capsule left by our most distant ancestors. Göbekli Tepe isn't just a discovery, it rewrites the first chapter of human civilization. The rest of the book is still missing. What else don't we know about our own dawn? Now let's jump forward 10,000 years to a completely different kind of mystery. Imagine finding a laptop on a Roman shipwreck, an object so out of place, so far beyond the known technological horizon of its time, that it seems impossible. That's the level of technological displacement we're talking about with the Antikythera mechanism. Discovered in 1901 by sponge divers off the coast of the Greek island of Antikythera, this corroded lump of bronze was initially overlooked, mistaken for just another piece of rock or debris from a cargo of statues. It took decades of patient study with early researchers like Derek de Solla Price suspecting it was something extraordinary. But it wasn't until the advent of advanced X-ray and CT scanning technology in the 21st century that we could finally peer through the corrosion and reveal what was hidden inside. A breathtakingly complex system of at least 30 interlocking bronze gears, dials, and pointers, as intricate as a 19th century Swiss clock. And it's over 2,000 years old, dating to around the 2nd century BC. What did it do? This wasn't just a simple calendar, it was far more sophisticated. It was an analog computer of staggering genius. By turning a hand crank, the user could predict the positions of the sun, the moon, and the 5 planets known to the ancient Greeks: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. It tracked the phases of the moon, using a complex gear train to model its irregular orbit. It predicted solar eclipses and lunar eclipses, using its knowledge of the 223-month Saros cycle, and it even indicated the timing of the 4-year cycle of the Panhellenic Games, including the Olympics. It was a social calendar as much as a celestial one. It was a mechanical cosmos, a portable planetarium that modeled the universe as they understood it. The precision of the gears, some with tiny triangular teeth just a millimeter long, was thought to be unachievable until the clockmakers of 14th century Europe. More than 1,400 years later, the existence of the Antikythera mechanism tears a hole in our perception of ancient technology. It implies a tradition of mechanical engineering far more advanced than the surviving texts suggest. A tradition of knowledge that was somehow lost to history. Was this a one-of-a-kind masterpiece, the work of a lone genius like Archimedes? Cicero mentions such devices. Or is it the sole surviving example of a common, albeit expensive piece of equipment for astronomers, navigators, or wealthy enthusiasts? If so, where are the others? Were they melted down for their valuable bronze, lost in other shipwrecks? Or are they still out there waiting to be found? Where are the tools that made it? And where are the instruction manuals? The mechanism itself contains thousands of characters of inscribed text, but it's a user guide, not a schematic. The knowledge of how to build it has vanished,